Kevin Holland did an interview. He was talking about Chimaev, Khamzat Chimaev. And Kevin was very complimentary, saying things along the lines of Chimaev's done a great job. His managers have done a great job of taking the right fights at the right time, bouncing from 170 to 185 for the right opponent to make him look good. Nothing wrong with that. This is Kevin still talking. Nothing wrong with that. I tip my hat to it. It's just not me. I'll compete with anybody. So I got to stop it because he's only half right. This was not a calculated effort by Ali Abdelaziz, who is the manager of Khamzat Chimaev, to get Khamzat these specific matches. That's not the way that happened. Khamzat was in Fight Island. He ended up getting 2 fights in. They bump him up to 185 to take on GM3. GM3 is a tough night out for anybody, particularly a guy who's only had 2 fights, which is where Chimaev was at. So I do not agree that the management was tactical with Chimaev. I don't think anybody knew, and not to mention Chimaev himself and management would not have been in a position to negotiate on a guy's first fight. The second fight, they're in a damn island. Chimaev's got to go down 15 pounds. Oh, by the way, did I mention he has 8 days to do all of this, including the fight itself? It was one of those things. There just was no tactical play there. And then GM3 is a tough night out on a main card. But if you look at Chimaev's 4th fight, which ended up not happening, but that was with Leon. Man, that's never a good night. And we don't know how that fight would have gone. We may still get it, but we may not. That might be one that just doesn't get revisited. But that's not a good night out. That's not as though a guy is looking for easy fights or even finding them. We do know that for Chimaev's first 3, they were easy fights for him. It turned out those were he was out of there in less than a round combined. For him, those turned out to be pretty easy fights. I'm only bringing to you that I don't know that I agree with that side, but Holland is very straight when he tells you that that's not how he does things, meaning him, Kevin Holland. I just had one experience with Kevin, personally. Was trying to find a match for Rumble Johnson on 3 days' notice. And Kevin Holland jumped at it, no problem. And Rumble was weighing whatever Rumble was weighing. I mean, Rumble was a heavyweight. Now he's working his way down to 205, but he was only part weighing. But Rumble's probably 240. Holland had just fought and beat Jacare Saturday. I'm on the phone with him on Wednesday about him being at Submission Underground the following Saturday. So literally 3 days out of the ring and 3 days to go until he's back in the ring in a different sport with a much bigger man. Kevin Holland did not flinch. Kevin Holland is the real deal, and he's not out there pulling wool over anybody's eyes. And if Kevin sees it differently and he thinks that Chimaev is being a little bit strategic in his approach, I'm willing to have that conversation. But as a viewer who sat back and watched, look, on his debut, nobody gets any negotiation room. On your second fight, when you're on an island and there's only so many bodies, nobody has any negotiation room, not to mention he had to change a weight class. And GM3 is a tough night out. It may not have looked like it if you win. GM3 is a tough night out. And Leon hadn't lost in 4 years. And that's back when he was competing, by the way. He took all of last year off. We're going to have to revise that. That means he hasn't lost in 5 years. Whether he didn't do it or not, he hadn't lost in 5 years. Chimaev could retell the story just to hustle and agitate people that he is being clever and he is picking his fights. He could retell it. That's not what I observed.